Hey, this is Rick Becker, chairman of End Unfair Property Tax. We have a measure which will be on the ballot in November for you to vote on. Vote yes. Give yourself the biggest tax relief you will ever see in your life. Completely reform taxes so everything is much more fair, transparent, but keeps local control completely intact. And we don't lose any services. We can't lose any services because not a single dollar in funding is lost. Okay, so we're refuting the opposition. I'm going back to the Keep It Local ND, KIL-ND, and their website. So this is real simple. It'll be a nice little shorty here. Let's see here. I'm going to show the banner. This is the where you can go to see our website, endpropertytax.com. But let's go ahead and take a look at the website. So this is Keep It Local, and it's a coalition of just about every lobbyist and special interest group under the sun. Okay, but let's just get right into the meat of it. Keep in mind, these folks spent $80,000 with a firm in Washington, D.C. to do polling to find out what phrasing and what things they could say to scare you guys the most. Okay, $80,000 they spent on that. And it probably is worth it for them because they're doing their very, very best to tell us that the world will end, the sky will fall, we will lose services, and you're going to have to fire teachers and firemen. All completely untrue. All right. But here we go. Well, they like this. There's no well-vetted plan to make up the estimated $1.575 billion per year. Now, for one thing, that number is inflated, but to me, that doesn't really matter so much. That's not the crux of the argument, whether it's 1.2, 1.3, or 1.5, as they're saying here. They're saying there's no plan. There is a plan. The legislature is going to do what they're going to do. So the plans that we suggest are suggestions. That's all we can do. There can't be a plan because every 2 years when the legislature meets, the plan needs to be tweaked. So this isn't something you can put in the Constitution, or at least it would be a horrible idea if you did. Really, what the plan comes down to is the forecast that they do for how much revenue the state's going to get over the coming 2 years. Let's say it's $21 billion. What they need to do is say, okay, we know that $2.5 billion of that is going to replace property tax. So we only have $19 billion or $18.5 billion to spend. And then they do what they normally do. I mean, that's really the plan. Now, we can come up with ways, and we have, to suggest on how they can replace property tax without losing any services, without losing any funding, and without raising any taxes. It absolutely can be done. If they even think about raising taxes to replace property tax, that is complete insanity, and we just can't allow that. All right. What's the big deal? Question here. What is the big deal if the measure passes? Well, the two biggest concerns, they say, are there is no well-vetted plan. Again, that's something that the pollsters said you should say over and over and over. We do have a plan. It's a very clear plan, and it's an easy plan because North Dakota is the richest state on a per capita basis with the largest spending increases on a per capita basis out of any state by far. Okay. Then they say the second thing is it would take away local control. Now, that's not true. What we need to do is ask them, how would it take away local control? It doesn't, because the locals will still be in charge of making their budgets and making them whatever they want to be, however high they want them to be. You see, this measure doesn't make local elected officials suddenly be wiser on spending or respectful of your taxpayer dollars. They will still budget the way they do. The state's going to give a whopping property tax replacement so you can keep that amount in your pocket. And then the locals are going to raise the revenue that they need above that amount. See, so they're completely in charge. The state has no say in this whatsoever. Let's go to what's happening next. What's next? All right, they say here, if passed, the measure would go into effect January of 2025, giving the legislators no time to plan how to fund the $1.5 billion needed for essential services. Okay, they're purposely misleading you here. They're purposely being dishonest. Yes, it goes into effect January of 2025. That's what goes into effect, is that the locals can't levy a property tax from that point forward. anything that they would levy in 2025, you would pay in 2026. So what the state must replace to the locals will occur in 2026. So they say they're trying to give the impression that they'd have to replace it in 2025. They know that's not true, but again, they're not being honest with you because the measure is not bad. So they have to be dishonest in order to scare you enough to vote no. So the legislature has over a year to get things in place, and they have the new revenue that's coming in and the new spending budget that will be applicable when this actually kicks in 2026. All right, and the next question, how will this impact North Dakotans? They say citizens will pay no matter what. Local governments and or the state legislature will need to determine another method of gaining the revenue in order to continue provide services to local communities. Again, they are acting as though all of the money that the state is spending is necessary spending, and we know it's not. There's so much waste. If all of the spending was necessary and you couldn't do cuts to the spending, you couldn't stop the wasteful spending, you couldn't stop the huge giveaways to private businesses. If you couldn't stop that, yeah, you'd have to raise revenue, in other words, tax, in order to replace it. But North Dakota is not in that position. We do not need to raise the tax. So you're not going to pay no matter what in the sense of what you're currently paying. That's going to stay in your pocket. And you do not need to make up for that with a new tax, whether it's local or state. I guarantee it. The state has so much money, and we've shown that on several other videos. Then they get down into what are the main concerns using North Dakota's legacy fund? We're not talking about using North Dakota's legacy fund. We're talking about using the interest on it, because that would be a great way to spend the interest. Nothing is more legacy than the impact of this measure on future generations of North Dakotans. So that, yeah, the interest on it would be great. They're pretending like we're going to use the legacy fund and just spend all of it. And so based on that model, it would be empty. The legacy fund would be at zero after, say, 8 or 9 years. Again, they're just throwing up smoke. They're throwing a red herring. What they're saying is dishonest and untrue. We are not talking about it. Now, you could argue and say maybe it makes sense to do that. I don't know, but that's not our argument. And then they go to there's a video here. I don't find it particularly compelling, but I think that's really about it for this. I wanted to just point out how dishonest the Keep It Local Coalition, KIL-ND coalition, is being, even in their very basic website. Complete dishonesty. It's really simple, folks. This is a great opportunity. Keep It Local was formed back in 2012 when there was a similar measure on the ballot. Same chairman is now Chad Oban, the same message, the same campaign of fear. Everything is the same. They fooled us last time, right? Shame on them. But now they're trying to fool us again. And if they do, folks, shame on you, shame on all of us if we let them fool us again. All right. Have a great day.